Are you seriously going to eat, you fat blibbity blabbity blob?
I mean, some of you might be like,
Continual.
why would I want to start this?
Sensitive. She's sensitive. She's
You are listening to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing podcast, where we share stories that are, you guessed it, unscripted.
That's the thing, this journey doesn't stop.
It doesn't really
right?
end. We have a general sense of the topic each episode, but really the whole point is just to show up and be authentic and let our inner child speak its truth. And I have continued to work through that story of constantly hearing, well, we don't want, got a hot dog on our hands. Yeah, guess what, Mr. Sabatsky, you do. So I'm so excited that you are here, and it is my hope that you hear yourself somewhere in the story so that way you can feel seen and heard as well. So let's start talking. I've got my favorite co-host, or I guess she is hosting, so.
Yeah, I am hosting.
All right, let's do this because we got limited time here.
Intro. Okay, 3.
Get all your energy.
Okay.
Wow. Rethinking this already.
2. Welcome to the Tami Talks show. I'm here with...
It's not the Tami Talks show. It's the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing podcast. Okay. Let's keep this in here. All right, let's go.
No. Wait, how do you... Tami...
She's looking it up. Wow. Number one super fan over here. My daughter, who doesn't even know what my podcast is called.
Oh, see, it's like...
Story of my life over here.
Okay, I just need to... Like,
yeah, there it is. Your mom. God. Anyway, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing podcast. Today, I'm joined with my mom.
Oh, wow.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing podcast. I'm here with the owner and host of this, even though I'm the host.
She's technically the host today.
Yeah, I'm hosting this event today.
So for those of you listening, this is my daughter, Aria. She is back. She was on an episode earlier with me this year.
Best episode.
So I will tag whatever this episode so you can go back and watch that. That one was a little bit different than what we're going to be doing today. So
yeah.
Today's a little
This is like a fun
lighthearted.
one. A little fun one.
Yeah. Because, why?
Because my mom is old. No.
Oh!
Just
I really should have
Just kidding.
put some prayer. No, it's true. It's fair.
She's turning 42 on December 9th.
Which they're listening to this. If you are listening on the Tune In Tuesday, if you were one of my Tuesday peeps, that was yesterday. So we're recording this earlier, obviously. So yeah. So turned 42, and this is also the 40th episode. So whoop whoop. So I just wanted to do something fun and lighthearted and all of that stuff before the holidays. And so we thought we'd have Aria come on, and we're gonna jazz this episode up a little bit with some Q&A.
Yeah. So we had some people ask what to do. So like if I'm looking to my side, it's
She's
my
got
computer.
her computer with her
So
list
that's
of
why I'm
questions
like
for
looking to
me.
the side.
Which is, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous about this because I am a processor. I don't like to be asked questions on the spot. I like to be able to think about my responses.
What's your favorite color?
Pink. Okay, that's
I thought it was
easy.
purple.
No, it's definitely pink.
Bro, it was purple for like my whole life.
I do like purple too.
Just randomly
That's
changed?
my second. It's my second. But truly, I know this is more like trauma response things, is that I want to be able to think about my questions or my answers, because my people pleaser would like automatically respond. That may not be what I actually want to say or what I actually feel. And so I've really thought a lot about this over this last year, about why do I kind of freeze when people ask me a question on the spot versus being able to just say what I want to say in that moment. So it should be interesting, but I'm pretty sure these are pretty lighthearted today, so I should be okay.
Maybe.
All right. What?
Oh shoot.
What?
Didn't we say there was going to be a segment on lick, eat, sniff, leave?
Oh, shoot. We don't have time for that today.
Yeah, but we do.
Next 40th episode, we'll do that.
We have one dish that I can make her that she's forced to eat.
No, we did this last night on a Facebook Live, and I almost had to
Eat a fine cuisine of garlic liquid with a little touch of ketchup and a conjointed giant Sour Patch Kids with a green Skittle color infused.
Luckily, I only had to sniff that one, but I legit gagged on that because it was
the worst.
disgusting.
It was so bad.
Disgusting. I made out with being able to eat my dark chocolate caramel candy.
See,
so.
I'm like not gonna glue those good.
All right. Should we do this? Let's get on with it.
Okay. First question is, why is being so consistent with workouts and meal prepping so important to you? And how does it connect to healing your inner child?
Ooh, this is a good one.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's been a journey, right? With working out consistently, it started with a fear of gaining weight. And I mean, that started again when I was in 3rd grade. So now being consistent with my workouts is really for just taking care of myself, not even physically. I mean, it is, but it's more so now taking care of myself mentally, emotionally, and energetically, because that's the way I clear my energy in the morning. It kind of sets the tone for my day. I feel the most empowered when I'm at the gym. I feel strongest in all the ways when I'm at the gym, but it's also when I see people and I'm around people that are kind of like-minded and are also pushing themselves and working hard. And so I just kind of feed off their energy. And so it really fills my cup in the morning. So that's why working out is so important to me.
Meal prep kind of the same. Well, not feeding off energy, of course, but like.
Well, meal prep is different.
Just kind of like.
Again, I've had a complicated relationship with that over the years because I tracked diligently and obsessively for so many years that I really couldn't meal prep in that way before. And so I just gave up on it. I'm like, nope. And my rebellious part didn't want to be told what to do. My restrictive part would go kind of overboard. And so I had to stop doing meal prep for a long time. And it was also just easier with the kids to be able to kind of eat what you're eating. But it's a very different situation now where it's mostly just me here eating lunch by myself and then every other night. So I honestly, I don't want to spend time in the kitchen. I enjoy being in the kitchen, like when you guys are there or baking, but right now I want to spend my energy doing other things like this podcast or paddleboard or being outside or other things. So I don't want to be in the kitchen. But the other way it helps me show up for my inner child is because I'm consistent.
Yeah.
Like that for your inner child is everything. Consistency for your inner child and letting them know that you're going to show up is everything. Because if I didn't feed you guys, right, you would be like, what the heck, Mom? I asked for a snack a million times.
Arlo. Sorry.
Yeah. That's true.
Sorry, guys.
Or brother. It's all about consistency. Like your inner child wants to know, will you be there for me when I need you to be? And your body also wants to learn how to trust you. And the more that your body knows, hey, I'm getting consistent nutrients, I feel like my body has thanked me over the years for being consistent with that. So that's my reason for that.
Okay. Good answer. But this one is more like a little fun one.
Okay.
It's, what's your favorite silly thing to do when we're together and makes you feel like we're a kid again? Ooh. Yeah, it's a good one.
I have to say dancing. I like dancing and just like when we're in the grocery store with dancing. Or when you used to go to the grocery store with me, now they're too cool.
No, I still go, but I don't dance. It's just you.
Right. I don't care, but it makes me feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
So dancing. What else do we do that's...
Maybe like...
I don't know. There's a lot of things.
Maybe like baking and making really big mistakes while baking.
Oh, yeah. We used to, I mean, when you were little, we did a ton of art together. And again, I didn't know anything about inner child work at this time. I just lived vicariously through my daughter, and I would do these activities. We would do lots of creative stuff, and I loved it. Like I would be doing the project way longer than she would, not realizing how nurturing it was for my inner child. And that's really why I enjoyed it so much. Although I also enjoyed doing it with her, but that was like being creative. I love doing crafts and stuff, painting with the kiddos. That's probably my fave.
Okay, this one is a little deep, but if you could give one piece of advice to your 11-year-old self, what would it be?
Oh, I just got the feels, the goosebumps. To my 11-year-old, that's you right now, 5th grade. Ooh, man. This was interesting because when I just got back from the inner child healing retreat, we kind of walked through these different ages. And one thing that came up for me on the hike was how sad I was that I didn't have a lot of memories to go from. And I've talked about this on the episodes before of when you're worried about everyone else and managing everyone else's emotions and energy, you're not really present in your own experience. And so I don't really have a lot of memories besides my pictures. But when I think back to 5th grade, I remember my teacher, and I remember my favorite thing about it was kind of what you're doing now with your flashcards. I was the queen of around the world with multiplication. I rocked it and I loved it. And that was also like Oregon Trails was a big thing back then.
I still play that game.
But I think back to 5th grade, and I remember still being like really fun, playful, loud, confident. But I know that started to change like in 6th grade. So if I were to tell my 11-year-old self anything, it would be to never change who you are. Because I know in 6th grade, we were in middle school, and I had older sisters. And so I had teachers that were trying to figure out which sister I was more like. And I wasn't necessarily quiet and studious like my sister Tara. They thought I was a lot more like my sister Tanya, who was I know she listens and she knows I love her for all of this, but thought I was gonna, I'd be like her. And I just was like, but I'm me. And so I feel like I kind of lost who I was a little bit in between that period. So I would tell myself to stay confident in who I was.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. This one is also a little silly one. It is, what is the silliest mom fail you've had recently that made you laugh at yourself?
Ooh, mom fail? I have those all the time.
I think maybe we should...
I should ask you this. What was my mom fail recently?
Maybe the acai bowl one. Okay, can I tell the story?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so this is great. So, wait, wasn't it like Chris... No, it was...
We had a mommy and daughter day because it was after your first podcast. We were going out as kind of like a celebratory thing.
Where did we get it?
We got it at Grace Coffee.
Yeah, okay. So I got this like acai bowl at Grace Coffee, and because we were having a girls' day, because I said that's the only reason I would do the podcast.
She genuinely wanted to do it. I didn't have to bribe her. Okay, maybe a little. We got pedicures and lunch and coffee.
But I still did want to do it. But like we got the acai bowl, and I still had a little left, but it kind of melted. And so I didn't want to drink it. So I just left it in the car and I forgot about it.
Yeah, interesting, which is not a reoccurring theme with you and rappers and bowls and things.
Let's move on.
Let's get into that, Aria. You want to go deep? You want to get into it?
Do you want me to explain it to you?
Let's go. Keep telling the story.
Really? Okay.
Just kidding.
Anyway, so then Arlo, he like came into the car later because my mom like picked him up or something.
Yeah.
And he sees the acai bowl in his seat. It like must like shifted on it. And he smacks it with the liquid still in it.
Oh, he whips it and is like, what is this? And he whips it to the front of the car.
Yeah, and like it hits my mom's face. It's all over everyone's clothes. And a bit of it is still on her like front view mirror, and she never cleared it off, so it's just still on there.
It's my memory of this moment.
Yeah, a little memory.
Oh, so we had a very fun family moment after that. Because like, guess what, kids? We're going to have a fun team building experience tonight, and we're going to go clean the car.
Yeah, and that's when we almost broke our vacuum.
Yeah, because someone slammed the cord in the door, and yeah, that was her. Luckily, it's back to life, which is good because it's a very nice vacuum. I really enjoy it.
Thank Grandma.
Yes, but I got splattered, which little does she know brought back some childhood trauma from when I got splattered on by a cow when I was probably like 4 years old.
Oh,
so
that's so cutesy.
No, it's not cutesy. Lessons learned, anyone that has grown up on a farm or if you plan to visit a farm, do not walk behind a cow, especially when it coughs, because you are on the wrong receiving end. So I got splattered, and then my dad had to spray me off with a hose in the milk house. So there we go. So that kind of brought back some memories of like, what just happened? What just hit my face?
Okay.
Anyway.
So we have 6 questions that my mom will get to choose from Michelle, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from Michelle. And they're questions to me about my mom, if that makes sense.
Okay. So the first one is for me, though, right?
Yeah. So.
Oh, no, I get to ask you. Have I ever really eaten fast food?
I don't. I think once. Like, maybe once, like, you had a bite of my fries or something. But I don't think she's ever, like, if she goes to a fast food place, she'll get, like, a salad or, like, eat her meal prep at home. I don't think she's really, a lot of people that, like, do this, like, to just eat a bunch of fast food when they're, like, not on camera, but you don't.
I don't.
No, you have a lot of meal prep, or, like, you, like, get a salad there.
Well, right, and that's because of my non-negotiables. And so if you watch the holiday episode, still time to watch that before Christmas and all that jazz. I talked about non-negotiables, and a big non-negotiable for me is vegetables at every meal, and that half a plate. Like, I live and die by that. And so fast food's tricky because I can't always do that. And so sometimes I'll get a little side salad, and then I'll just come home and eat my protein and stuff. So, but like Culver's and stuff, they have good salads. They actually have good little side salads there.
Like sometimes at like Chick-fil-A or like Culver's, you'll get like a little salad or something.
Those are probably the only other places.
But I don't think she, like, in the question it says like McDonald's, Burger King, but she doesn't really eat like fast food. She more eats like kind of like fast food, but like some of it is taken.
But that, I mean, that's part of it, is I just have really dialed in how I feel, and I enjoy feeling good, and I know the things that don't make me feel good, and so I don't want to make myself feel like crap anymore. And that's just me. So there's certainly options you can find at all of those places, but I have a very high threshold for wanting to feel good these days. And so, yeah.
You can choose another one.
Ooh, let's see here.
What is this?
Ooh, I like this one. When you are older, what trait or thing about me do you hope you're most likely to do or be? Let's fill some airtime here. Do, 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 do.
I don't know because
there's so many to pick from.
Yeah.
That sounded genuine, kind of, until you started laughing.
Guys, I don't know. You have a lot of good traits. Maybe to not care what other people think. Because, like, a lot of people around my age, like, do. So, I know.
We have talked a lot about that. I mean, I wasn't always that way, but at doing this work, it's helped me. And I feel like that, by me learning how to do that, I've been able to help you learn how to do that. So, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. What activity do you most enjoy doing with your mom? Okay.
So, activity with you, maybe baking. I like baking with her. One time I made these healthy cookies and I accidentally used the...
I had whipped up, or what's the word?
It called up for a cup of oats, and there was around 8 cup of oats in this one basket, and I accidentally...
I was making protein balls, and I
used that.
always put them in the food processor to chop them up a little bit so they're not huge flakes of oatmeal. And the protein balls, and she grabbed the wrong bowl. And so
I poured everything into it so they were rock solid. So
they were very hearty.
Sure. That's weird.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so, but definitely baking though. It's always fun with me.
And you enjoy massages. That's a fun thing that we do.
I do. Free massages.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do that one.
Oh, Michelle. All right, would you say your mom is way cooler, less cooler, or Sigma compared to other moms? She had Cringeville, but then I was like, that's not even the word anymore. It's Sigma, right?
Did you change it to Sigma?
She had Cringeville. Because she used to tease me when I said cringe. She's like, Mom, we don't use that word anymore. I'm like, you were going to write a book called My Mom Is So Cringe.
But like, cringe is like 2020.
There you go, Michelle. You are just as out of date as I am with the kids' terms these days. So, okay, what am I? Way cooler, less cooler, or Sigma? Or Alpha?
You're not the alpha. I'm the alpha. I'm the alpha.
We're talking about moms here compared to other moms.
I'm the alpha of this family.
That's fair.
Let's say way cooler.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Gnarly, man. Tubular.
Totally tubular. I definitely had a hot pink sweatshirt that said that on there.
Okay, so
Probably when I was in 5th grade.
So we're gonna go to less cool.
I've already worked my way down. So,
but
funny story.
She's like even.
Funny story about me being a cool mom is when I learned that I wasn't, or that I needed to kind of check myself because.
Oh, I remember that.
You know what story I'm talking about?
I think so.
3rd grade.
Oh,
there's others. Oh, wow. Okay.
No. I was thinking about that one.
So, Aria had an amazing teacher in 3rd grade, and he invited me to their Valentine's Day dance. And I was like, oh, hell yes.
Oh, that?
Yeah, that.
Oh, I was so mad.
She was. So I'm taking this as green light to fully embrace my inner child. I'm having fun with my daughter. I'm like, I can't just show up as a normal mom. I need to put on my purple wig and bring my 8th grade disco ball.
I'm cringing at like the
Oh my
thing.
gosh. She was mortified. Like,
She walked in, my jaw went.
for those of you that are listening,
This kid, I'll call him G because his name started with a G. He was like, "Ari, is that your mom?"
she's so Sigma. Wait, Alpha. She's so Alpha.
That wasn't a word.
It wasn't then. It wasn't then. I would have been cringe then, maybe.
Nah, he's just like so cringe. Just like,
But
man.
see, and here was the thing. So this was a big lesson for me because I thought, like, I'm going to come in, it's going to be super fun. And her friends seemed like they thought it was cool and fun and were like wanting to wear the wig and play with the disco ball and all this stuff. But Aria did not. And it was very evident, like she didn't want to even really be around me and didn't really want to dance. But I mean, it was, yeah, my heart kind of crushed a little bit, but I recognized real quick of why. And we had a really good talk about that afterwards. It was just, this certain time period of like, if she was worried what her friends would think, even though I felt like her friends thought it was cool, she may not have in that moment and might have worried about that. And so I just kind of came in and blew a bunch of stuff up. And so we had a good
You
talk
didn't even
about
tell
that.
me you were coming. You just like showed up.
Well, they invited other parents.
Yeah, they did, but like no one.
But I
was-
also kind of came in like stealing the show, and I didn't mean for it to come off that way. And so now I realize sometimes I need to dial that back down and kind of follow your lead on some of that stuff. Like if we want to be fun and goofy, we kind of do that together versus.
Yeah.
So it was a good like check yourself, mom, before you, wreck yourself
There's,
with your relationship with your daughter.
One thing I'd
So-
like to share that's a little off topic. If you're looking to get my mom a gift for her birthday,
No.
please go to Target and get yourself a Skibbity Toilet Mystery
Hey,
Toilet
they are not
plush.
sponsoring this episode. Stop. We are not doing that. I do not need that.
She does.
Well, any parting words? I'm going to hop back on, and I have some really cool shout outs.
We have another question, buddy.
We do, but we got to get going. You have dance.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Do you want to do one more question?
Okay, one more question. Okay, wait. Okay. When you were my age, what's the weirdest or funniest thing you were obsessed with?
Ooh, weirdest thing I was obsessed. I mean, I was obsessed with monkeys. I had so many stuffed animal monkeys. It was ridiculous. Like 2 pet nets full of monkeys. Yeah, it was. That's probably, I mean, when I was your age, I don't know if I was 5 in 5th grade when I was obsessed with that, but see, again, I don't really have a lot of memories like that. So that's the one thing that stands out to me. So
There's one thing I would like to do before we end the podcast. If you are listening, I'm sorry, but this is for visual only.
I don't know what's happening here.
Faith, put this in 2 times speed.
Okay, so thank you, Aria, for that. That was super fun. And yeah, she's doing the, what do you call it? Is that the
It's
cow?
Gangnam Style.
Oh, Gangnam Style. You have cut yourself out of the frame. But I will be right back, and I'm going to do some shout outs, giveaways, well, not the giveaways, but talking about the giveaways here, and just some other stuff that I want to address for this 40th episode. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing podcast. I hope you all enjoyed that little snippet with my daughter. She's super fun to do these with, and so I hope that you enjoy her as much as I do. And it's so interesting. So it's been about, I would say, an hour and a half since we ended that last little segment, took her to dance, came home, ate some supper, and my mood is just so much more somber. And I think that happens. I just kind of reflected on that a little bit of how different. Ooh, I was going to get emotional there for a second. Yep. In a good way. And sometimes there's sadness around it, but just the difference in the energy when my kids are here versus when it's just me. But again, I learned to really crave my solitude, and I enjoy that time now. But yeah, it's just really interesting how we went from just like laughing and bouncing around the apartment. And as soon as I got home, I was just like, I just kind of hunkered down. And I think it was because I was reflecting on my afternoon. I had lunch with a dear, dear friend of mine, actually my like original soul sister, one of the first people that I kind of opened up to about what I was going through in my relationship, and also just spirituality stuff. And because I was starting to share some of that on Facebook, I was writing about my father-in-law, and she saw these posts that I was writing, and she had reached out and was like, hey, I think I need to meet you. And so she actually came to my office when I was working at the private practice, and we sat down and just kind of got to know each other, and we've been best friends ever since. And that was, 2017, I think. So, wow. Happy 7-year friendiversary, Brittany. And I do hope to have Brittany on here at some point because she is such an amazing human and friend and all of those things. And so we went out for a little early birthday lunch, and then I decided to go hit up my favorite little spot down by the lake. And so for those of you that have listened to this podcast, I've mentioned my love for paddleboarding many times and how that has been such an outlet for me over these last few years. And it's really where I did a lot of healing, because I bought, oh my gosh, I'm going to start crying over my paddleboard. Can you tell I already miss it? Whew. Just like it takes me right back. So I bought my paddleboard in 2022, that spring, and I was hooked immediately, and where I needed to be out there. I was out there at least once a week consecutively. I did not miss a week, but a lot of times I was out there twice a week. And in that first summer, that first season, I love a good life metaphor. And so I felt like every time I was out there, sometimes when I really needed to work through some tough emotions, the wind had picked up and the waves were tough. And I remember one time being like, I had to channel my inner Moana, and I'm like, dig, because if I would have stopped, I would have lost all of the distance I had gained and gone right back, spun around. I mean, you couldn't stop. You literally could not stop paddling, or you were going to be sent to the other end of the lake. And I just kept saying, like, I'm not going back. And I just had to keep digging harder, even though I was so tired. My arms were just on fire. They were burning. I wanted to just lay on my paddleboard, but I couldn't give up. And so I remember how I felt when I finally made it back to shore. And it was just like, wow, that is literally what life feels like right now, is that I cannot give up no matter how hard this is. Like, I knew where I wanted to go, right? And I kept seeing the shore. I'm like, I know where I'm going. And that is how I have had to stay focused this entire journey, even though I don't actually really know where I'm going. I have my ideas, but I know maybe God and the universe has other plans for me, because it's been a windy path. And when I think I'm like, oh yeah, this must be my purpose, or this must be, like, oh no, okay, this is okay. Like, I am trying to surrender. I am trying to fully surrender. And I have a whole episode on surrender versus control, which I love that episode. So I'll link that here. I felt like that is one that everyone needs to hear, because it is so hard for us to release control around so many aspects of our life. But truly, I find that when I can surrender and just tune in and just be, things do seem to flow much easier. So yeah, the lake has just always reflected whatever I needed to work through. There were some times where I just needed to be still, and I just needed to lay there and soak in the sun and just be really, really present. And I didn't want to move. I didn't want to be out there, getting a workout. I just needed to be. And those were the days that it was like glass and it was just calm. And so it always gave me whatever I needed. And because I didn't have any other distractions, it allowed me to find me. Like, that's where I was doing the deconstruction of all the things that weren't me at that time. And that was really hard to start peeling back those layers and taking off those masks. And it's really vulnerable. It's a really, really vulnerable place to be. Because again, people might react differently to you when you're starting to do that. You start to feel like you don't fit in, and where do you belong, and all of those things. And so that was a really, really vulnerable time. And so it felt like the lake was my safe place where I could just start to learn who Tami was. What did Tami want out of life? And what was really hard is oftentimes the answers I got back were not what my current reality was. And that was really hard. And so I did a lot of processing out on that lake. And so, yeah, I just need to be there sometimes. I really wanted to go paddleboarding one more time this season. And I've been out there when it's like 40 degrees and I'm all bundled up. I've never fallen in yet. So I'm still going with that I don't need to worry about it. Because it's like me and my board, we're just one with each other and we just have total trust. And so I was hoping to get out one more time, but the few times I went down there, it was too windy. And I didn't feel like I don't want to fight the waves. I'm not in that space. And so I didn't want to. So I just sat down there. But today I actually was driving by and I was like, oh, I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. And so I turned around and I went back down there and I'm so glad I did. And I walked out on the ice and I just had the most beautiful, peaceful moment out there. And there was like all these life metaphors, coming at me again, because it just seems so calm and so still. And it's like what you see on the surface. And it just made me think of our everyday lives and our relationships with people and what we see on the surface. Everyone's keeping their stuff together. Everyone's putting on the mask and playing the roles and things like that to just seem calm and steady, smooth, right? But like underneath the ice, there's all this other stuff going on. There's all these other things down there. And it just made me think of how complex we all really are and how we don't always show those aspects of ourselves. And because we kind of keep things surface level, we kind of keep things above the surface, right? And we're afraid to go deep. We're afraid to have deep conversations with people. And yeah, it just feels safer up on the ice. But we all know that there's danger being on the ice, right? Like if that cracks and you're falling through, like, oh shit. And so, yeah. And then you're sometimes forced to go down there, right? You fall in and now you're in the depths of your own emotions and your own feelings. And if you've never explored that safely, that can feel really scary. And so, but you could see the cracks. I could see the cracks all over me, all over the ice, all over me as well. That's fair. That was a good slip. A Freudian slip. Oh, wow. But I just think about that. Like I was looking down and seeing all these cracks, but still moving forward, still walking forward. A little bit more caution, right? Because I think the same thing when you're going on this journey and you're navigating life, sometimes we're taking those small, cautious steps, right? And kind of looking down below and all of those things and assessing things, which is good in many regards, right? But it also kind of makes me think of how often we're like walking along the ice so cautiously and slowly through our lives and not taking, the big fun risks and trusting that the ice is pretty thick. You're not falling in, and to just like, okay, I'm going, I'm doing it. Right. And we don't take those risks because we're still caught up by the fear and what's the perceived danger. And so they were just coming at me left and right. And I don't know why my brain works this way, but that's literally how I think and feel is just in metaphors. So, but yeah, it was really beautiful and peaceful. And it was just a nice sunny day out there, and I'm literally the only one standing out there. And I don't know, it just kind of got me in my feels. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of time to process that because when I came home, then I got Aria and we, did the episode and stuff. And so I think when I got home, I was looking through my pictures because I took a few out there because I take pictures so I remember things, and it just kind of brought me back to that moment. And so I wanted to share that and have you kind of think about that too, is where in your life are you kind of playing on the surface, playing it safe or surface level with people or even yourself. Sometimes we stay surface level with ourselves. And I remember one of my first times out of my paddleboard, I think I did. I wrote a post about this. It was a Friday night and I had said I loved it so much, but it caught me off guard of how much I loved it, because I realized that in years past, I was terrified to be by myself, and not out of safety, like physical safety, emotional safety. I was terrified to be by myself because I didn't want to hear or feel what I really needed to hear and feel. And I know someone out there listening probably knows exactly what I'm talking about, because it's like, once you hear it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then it's like, oh shit, now I got to do something about it. Or you stay stuck in that with now the awareness, which then makes it even worse. And yeah, I just remember being terrified about that. Like I hated being home alone. I hated not having other people to hang out with. And when I first moved to Madison, I didn't have friends here. And it wasn't until I went to a different gym where I started meeting people and like starting to have friends where I could, like, let's go grab coffee. I mean, that took a long time. And, there was a mom before that. And so I got lost in that. And so again, I had no idea who I was. And so to sit in silence, like, no, that was the worst thing ever. And now I love it. Like now I crave it. Now I need it. I need that. And if I don't create that time and space to just be in my head and my heart and in my body, it's not good. It's actually the opposite now, where I almost feel worse and I almost spiral more. And so it's, been a very interesting thing. And so I guess if I'm relaying anything to anyone out there, again, I had no idea what the second little segment was going to be about, but here we are just talking about the lake, is to not be afraid to go deep within yourself and ask those questions, to get curious about who you really are and what you really want out of life. And, I'm always talking about inner child stuff on here, and it can feel scary sometimes to do that. But I think when if you think of it as connecting to your inner child who was filled with the joy and zest for life and all that kind of stuff, like it isn't so scary. And your inner child can actually be the one to make you feel safe. And sometimes I think we go into this thinking the opposite, that we have to be the ones to protect our inner child. And while that can be true in some cases, I feel like connecting to my inner child has made me feel safer in exploring who I am and being who I am and living out loud and being the mom who dances in the grocery store and doesn't care, that kind of stuff. Like my inner child allows me to feel safe doing that. And so it's kind of this cool little two-way street that we have now, and helping each other in that way. And so just encouraging you to look at those areas of your life. Like, where would you like more depth, right? Is it in love? Is it in your career? Is it in your friendships? Is it in your parenting? Where do you just crave this like depth and connection and intimacy in whatever area of life that is? Just that, all that richness and goodness, and to not settle for things that are surface level, not to settle for things that it feels like there's something missing. I've talked a lot about emotional availability on here. And sometimes when we're around people that are maybe, and I don't say like emotionally immature, like, oh, they're so immature. I just mean like maybe they didn't have the skills to develop emotional maturity. And I have had to learn that. So many people, especially my age, like our parents didn't know how to do that because their parents didn't know how to do that. And so we don't feel comfortable in our emotions. And so that kind of creates an emotional immaturity where we only feel safe feeling this little teeny tiny range, and it feels like we're out of control or having a breakdown when we're literally just experiencing a normal range of emotions. We allow ourselves to experience the full range and all out joy, but also all out anger and rage and grief and sadness. Sometimes we just stay at anger, and anger feels easier. It's like, yeah, I can be happy. But anything beyond those feels scary and feels vulnerable, because you start tapping into grief and sadness and like you're digging up some stuff, right? But gosh, if I feel so joyful and elated and just in love with life or things or people, it's like, well, what if they go away? What if I lose them, right? And so there's this fear around kind of these outer ends of emotions. And so if you can allow yourself to start exploring that and feeling safe in that, you can start to create your own depth of who you are and the range that you can feel. And I feel like one reason why people feel emotionally safe around me is because I create that space for them to feel safe in their range of emotions. They know that they can cry with me, and I'm likely going to be like, good, let it out, cry, like A+. I always remember when I did assessments in Fiercely Focused and stuff, and anytime they cry and they would apologize, I'm like, no. And especially the overachievers, I'm like, A+ for crying, like, good job. Because you're this, so we need to do, we need to cry. We need to let this out. I need you to start to feel safe in feeling, just to feel alive and to allow yourself to experience the depth of emotions that we actually have. But for so many people, that doesn't feel safe. And again, that can go back to childhood where it didn't feel safe to express your emotions, right? Don't be too happy, or what are you sad about? I'll give you something to cry about. Those kinds of things, those messages stick with us. And so we've learned to bottle it up, to suck it up, to cover it up, to brush it under the rug or suppress it. I think that sometimes where we start to really feel like we're this boiling pot of water because we haven't expressed them. Or you might be around someone, it's like, wow, you can tell they just feel really comfortable and safe in their emotions, and you can start to feel your guard being let down. It feels like, oh, maybe I can share these things too. And I found that. And so, I talked about my circle before and how it's very much quality over quantity. And the quality of friendships that I have are just really rich and deep and meaningful. And I love them so much. I had a girlfriend call me the other day who was going through some stuff, and she's just like, thank you. I don't know who else I could have called to express this in the way that I needed to express this, and to be held and heard and seen in the way that you saw me. And I was just like, of course. But I probably wouldn't have always been able to do that, right? I would have jumped to something. I would have tried to make her feel better right away. I would have tried to fix. I would have tried to, and it was such a beautiful conversation to be able to really hold her in that. And so, yeah, it's really cool. And so I'm just encouraging you to look at those areas of your life where you're really craving more, and to know that more is out there, and that you don't have to settle for mediocre, to settle for breadcrumbs, to settle for half-ass conversations or surface level stuff. Like, those people are out there who feel safe in their emotions, or at least to explore it with you, right? Like, let's explore that together. Let's figure that out together of how to feel safe in this, because I'm still figuring stuff out too. But I can tell you, by exploring the depths of that within myself, it feels much safer for me, which has allowed my kids to feel safer, exploring their emotions and feeling their emotions and knowing they have a safe space to do that. And so, yeah, when you think about the frozen water and the lake and what that symbolizes and what's below, is be willing to explore the below. And so that way, if it were to crack and you fall in, you're like, I got this. I know how to swim through this, versus freaking the you-know-what out. Which obviously, if you were in the real life situation, that would be scary. But God damn me. I was like, well, if you knew how to emotionally regulate yourself and not immediately go into fight, flight, or freeze, you could fall in and still know, hey, stay calm. Don't freak out. Because you immediately in those situations, right, go into freeze, fight, flight, or something like that. And that's when really, really scary things happen. So really, I didn't mean for that to be a full circle moment, but here we are. Again, I don't know why my brain works the way it does. It just does. It's like there's like a little train just slowly going around like, toot, toot, we made it back. Oh, so that was my little metaphor for you guys, but I will wrap it up on that note. I don't even know how long this is going. Okay. I also, if you've made it this long, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in on episode 40 and celebrating this milestone with me and my daughter and Arlo. Even though he wasn't on this episode, he was there in spirit, but he was a loose cannon on our Facebook Live last night. So we're like, let's play it safe. Even though it doesn't necessarily safe with Arya either, but that's why I love it. So, but truly, you have no idea how much it means when I see the downloads or I see the views on YouTube, and just that people are tuning in and that you're watching and hopefully listening. And because I don't always know who these messages are reaching and if they're resonating with you at all. And so hearing those messages, seeing those things, it's like that little extra encouragement to keep going. And I received a message from someone I used to work with way back in the day, wished her happy birthday, and responded back that she loved the podcast. I was like, I didn't even know that you listened. And she's just like, they're so inspiring. Like, thank you so much for sharing your life. And actually, when I was out for lunch today, my friend had run into another friend who had said to her, like, hey, that Tami friend of yours, like her post and her things, like, wow, she's literally speaking about what's going on in my life. And I barely even know this person as like a friend of a friend, but just sharing my experiences on the podcast, on social media, like if I can help that one woman feel seen in her experience and know that she's not alone, that's everything to me. And so while my ego can get caught up on the number of downloads and all of that stuff, it all goes away when you hear that, when you know it's helped one person feel seen. Because I felt so alone in my experience for so long. And it's like, man, I wish I would have had someone who was just open and vulnerable and sharing the shit. I might have not have felt so alone, and I might have gotten through some of this faster or differently or made different choices and things like that. And I know my experience is my experience, and I'm here where I'm at for that reason. And so now I can be doing that for other people. And so it meant so much to me. And so I just want to thank you again and again and again for pressing play every week. And I'm so excited for the lineup for the rest of 2024 and into 2025. We have some really, really amazing guests coming up. And so very excited to like switch things up and keep these episodes interesting for all of you. And yeah, so with this being the 40th episode and my 42nd birthday celebration, I did want to do a giveaway. And so I'm hoping that all of you that are listening are following me on Instagram and Facebook, because that's where all the giveaways are happening. And so follow me there, because we have a giveaway every single day, something different every single day. And it is called My Favorite Things. So I grew up loving The Sound of Music. I should have told Aria that. I kind of was obsessed with some musicals back in the day. I loved The Sound of Music. I have that whole movie, the soundtrack memorized. And so I always loved the song My Favorite Things. And so I was like, that's what I'm going to make this giveaway. And so I was able to reach out to some of my favorite businesses, some of my favorite products, and come up with some little giveaways for you, some of my favorite people. And so I talked a lot about the lake on this episode. And so first place that I reached out to was Wingra Boats. I can't even say it because I'm going to cry. Wingra Boats. And they are donating a free membership. So I don't know who is going to get that, but you are one lucky. And with that one is, if you want me to tag along and paddle with you, I will do that. And we'll have like an hour little session of whatever you want it to be. It could be a coaching session, be a healing session. And because that's what I always wanted to do. I want to be coaching out on the water. I want to be having these conversations out on the water or out on a hike. Like, why not? Like, that to me, that's where I healed the most, was outdoors. So why do I need to have a coaching session through Zoom? Like, or on the couch? Like, let's get outside. And so I'm very excited about that one. So thank you so much, Wingra Boats. Like, they hold such a special place in my heart, as you can tell. And then just moving down the road is Everly. It's like one of the only restaurants I eat at. As you heard earlier, my daughter said I don't really eat out that much at all. It's kind of funny. Some of my former gym girls, I don't go there anymore, but we get together every month and they're always like, where do you want to go? I'm like, Everly or Everly? Like every month. And they're like, Tami, like, we can mix it up. I'm just like, not if it's my choice. I will go there. And I get the same two things. I either get their house burger, put some bacon on that baby, and it is so good, or their fried honey mustard chicken sandwich. And so I've been gluten-free for years, and at the restaurant, you can get pretty much everything gluten-free. It's so good. And there's such a great variety. Like, you can literally pick like any type of cuisine you want. And it's so good. Quality, the environment, the ambiance, the energy is just so good. And so they are donating a $50 gift certificate for someone to go there. So if you want to take me, I will gladly go with you. I'm very excited about that one. And they also, their neighboring restaurant, I don't want to mess up the name, but I'm going to, Miko, like Poke Bowls. I apologize in advance, but they threw in a $15 gift certificate for that as well. So very excited about that. And then again, if you follow me on social media and you watch my stories, you know, once a month I go to Isthmus Wellness for I call it my monthly muscle maintenance. Because again, this whole self-care thing, right? Well, I always thought massage is like, oh, that's a luxury thing. And maybe I'd get a gift certificate for Mother's Day or my birthday, and I would go once a year. Well, again, if you follow me on social media, you know I work out pretty hard every single day. I'm pretty tough on my body. And now I'm not beating it up. I'm working with it, and I love to see what we're capable of, but that often means lifting really heavy things and doing some fun, crazy things. And through the injuries that I have had when I needed some of those big life lessons of like, hey, you need to find another outlet, all that stuff, I started going to Isthmus Wellness back in 2021 with my first knee injury, because it was like nothing was helping, and stuff that I was hearing from the doctors, like that wasn't helping. And so I went on their website and I saw one of them. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at, I'm trying to follow my intuition. And I saw one of the providers there, was a corrective exercise specialist or something. I don't even know what his full title was. And I was like, that's my dude. That's where I'm going. And I have been with Josh ever since. So we're going on over 3 years where I have pretty much seen him once a month. And dude is a miracle worker, but like all of their staff there is incredible. And so now I see it like, no, this is the reward for my body. This is how I honor my body and the work that we do together throughout the month. And so I don't see it as this luxury thing anymore. It's like a necessity, because again, as we get older, we realize like, oh, stretching and recovery and rest and all of those things are actually, tend to be actually more important than the actual workouts themselves. I'm still working on the sleep part, but I'm getting much better at listening to my body in other ways. And so I do that once a month and I absolutely love it. There were times where I have gotten acupuncture there. Loved that experience as well. I didn't really know anything about it. I remember getting acupuncture when I had Aria because she was, 11 days, 13 days late or something like that. And I was trying anything to get that kid out. So that was the first time I tried acupuncture, but I really, now that I was much more in tune with energy and stuff like that, getting acupuncture was like, whoa, it was a much different experience. And it's crazy. Like when you know what it's like to feel grounded, like before and after an acupuncture session is pretty wild. So I have done that there as well. And they have some amazing practitioners that do that, but they are donating. They just moved to a brand new building. So much, like it's gotta be like quadruple the size of their former building. And it's beautiful. It's spacious. And they've got saunas in there now with like red panel, infrared, all the cool stuff. And so they are donating 3 sessions for that as well. So I'm very excited about that. So that'll be another giveaway that we have. And my dear friend, Brittany, not the Brittany I was talking about earlier. Apparently there's a lot of Brittany's in my life. But Brittany, she is the owner of Front Porch Realty. She is incredible. She is like the biggest badass entrepreneur you'll ever meet. Like what this girl has accomplished in just a year of starting her own business is absolutely incredible. And yeah, she's an amazing realtor. And so she is going to be donating this sweet basket and throwing in some cool deals there as well, because she's just such a giving person, go-getter, and I just absolutely love her. So she's donating something as well. And my business manager, because she loves putting things together and she's just an all-around amazing person, is also putting together a pretty sweet gift basket for people. So I don't know what she's all throwing in there yet. I think she gave me a list. So we'll see what that surprise is. So we have lots of awesome things coming for you guys. And so you'll have to hop over on social media. But I will say, anyone that, if you're watching on YouTube, you like and comment, those are entries for sure, because that is huge in the YouTube world to help with the algorithm and get this out to more people. And so again, if you've made it this far, please, then I will give you the entry. If you are listening on any podcast platform, most people are, Apple or Spotify, if you can rate this episode, just, if you're giving it 5 stars, awesome. If you would love to comment, I will also give you entries for those as well. But then there's all other sorts of ways that you can enter through social media, by liking the post and tagging friends and all that jazz. You've seen those posts before. So I really hope that you guys get in on those. It was fun to reach out to these companies and get these things and just to celebrate and to share my favorite things with my favorite people who tune in with me every single week. So thank you so much for that. And on our next episode, I will have some other fun announcements too. I'm kind of, there's a real big one that I'm really excited about, but I want to make sure that I announce it in the best way possible because it is worthy of that. So, but I'm going to wrap it up here for tonight. And thank you all for tuning in with me. And thank you for celebrating this 40th episode with me and hanging out with me this long. So I cannot wait. I feel like we're truly just getting started. And because this is kind of like also a birthday episode, I would love to hear what your inner child loved to do for their birthdays. Whether it's like, what was your favorite birthday present as a kid, or what you like to do on your birthday. And I know, I could have had a whole podcast on birthdays and why people are like, I'm not celebrating my birthday. I'm like, oh, that's a childhood thing. We're not going down there. We're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it light right now. But it is a really great time to tend to and honor your inner child. So you can comment on that anywhere. Maybe that's the comment you leave, or just do that in your everyday life. Your inner child would appreciate it. So that is my little homework assignment for all of you. So until next week, when we will have a new guest, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And we'll see you next week. Bye.